All right, we are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Our guest this morning, News Channel 5 legal analyst Nick Leonardo, and it's good to talk with him as always. We've got the phone lines open. Nick, we've got Joe with a question, so let's take him since he waited through the break. Joe, good morning. What's your question, buddy? Hi, Joe.
Just on the Delky case.
Yeah.
If there ever was a case, it should have been moved out of Davidson County. It's the Delky case. This has been on the news for almost 2 years now, and every time anything comes up, they always mention that. They've showed the tape hundreds of times, and that's biased as the bias could be. And as far as the COB board, none of these people have any expertise at investigating anything, and the TBI couldn't find Broad Street if it wasn't signs showing them where it was at. Whenever the head of the TBI hires his son, and only expertise he ever had in law enforcement was delivering pizzas. That's a joke.
I remember, yeah, our I-team did a story on that. But let's focus in, Nick, on his question again about Delky, which is another high-profile case. Just for folks who don't remember, case Metro Police Officer Delky charged with homicide in the death of Daniel Hambrick. And, very controversial case. White officer, African-American individual that was shot. The details of it, he's right, there was video that went out. That was a couple of years ago. The case has been postponed. It would have gone this year, and we were going to cover it gavel to gavel, as you know, but then the pandemic hit. What are you hearing moving forward? And then let's get into his question. My opinion, and I think yours too, is that I don't see this case going to trial here and having a verdict come back. Minds are made up, and it's going to be split. I think we're going to have a hung jury. I'm just saying that this early on. But what are you hearing about the status of that case? Do you think it goes early next year?
So I believe they have it set. Maybe for the spring, but I think we're a long way away in Davidson County from bringing in 300 potential jurors and questioning them like we normally do. I think it's hard enough to get a petit jury or a jury of 12 in just a case that no one knows anything about. But the judge has already ruled in this case that the case is going to remain here in Davidson County. And again, it's not that we got to find jurors that haven't heard about this case. We have to find some jurors that do not have their minds made up as about guilt or innocence. But I do think it's very important to point out that if you look from the time the judge decided whether or not this case was going to be moved, look at what's happened in Nashville since that time, okay, with all the protests and all that. So I believe this is an evolving situation. And I think that we may very well, like Joe says, we may very well see this case or this matter brought again before the court. And I think they should, quite frankly, because you're trying to build an appellate record. But we have such a clash between the police and the community, and that division continues to grow. And since the judge last rules, there's a lot of things that have happened. And so I would probably raise that issue again and bring up the fact that in this city, the tension and what's happened has gotten increasingly worse. And
I understand the judge's decision to try to let the local community rule on this case. I think whenever you can do that, that's the right thing. But here's my question for you, Nick. We know that video is played over and over again, and everyone has seen it. And I think you would agree with me that when a jury is selected, it's going to be a jury, hopefully, that's diverse. So there is no way we're going to get either an all-black jury or an all-white jury or what other ethnicity in there. It's going to be a mixed bag. Suffice to say, would you agree with that? There are going to be some blacks and some whites on this jury. And if that's the case, based on some of the polling going on, based on folks that have seen this, many of those folks who have seen the video have already made up their mind whether or not this was a justified shoot or not, on both sides of the issue. And because of that, I just don't see any of them changing their mind based on what they see during a trial. So you're talking about a hung jury.
Well, it could very well be a hung jury. And I would have a tendency to agree with you. I think that it's going to be difficult no matter what either side of the ball you fall on. I think it's going to be very difficult to arrive at a verdict in this particular case. And then it's complicated because they have this statute that was from a 1985 Supreme Court case that allows a police officer to use deadly force when they're pursuing a felon. And so even though the video is there, and even though we've all that video, there's so many more facts that happened, before this incident occurred that they need to be focusing on. And again, you got to watch for these potential jurors to just want to get on to that jury and say that they have not made up their mind. And so it's going to be a very, very interesting jury selection. Because there are people who want to be on a jury just in general, and then they get an opportunity to be on something like this, and they have strong personal beliefs. So that's the job of the lawyers to make sure that we get the truth out of these prospective jurors, so that we can honestly find people. Because the state, as well as the defense, are entitled to a fair and impartial jury, and impartiality is the key.
Gotcha. Hey, listen, we've got Ann on line too. Ann, good morning. Hi, Ann.
Good morning. First, to answer something that Joe just mentioned, the COB has many qualified people on it. Actually, they are all very qualified. And unfortunately, as soon as our new police chief was named, we lost Emmett Turner, who was our first African-American police chief, who was also extremely qualified. Every person on the Community Oversight Board is educated through every aspect of their life. Secondly, I wanted to ask Nick, the public has only seen a snippet of many, many videos in the Delkey case. There are numerous videos of that day that will be shown when this case goes to court. Why would the defense not want this case moved out of county? Because that is the only way the defense is going to get a fair and impartial trial. So why would they not want this moved out? Is this another way of getting a negative
Well, no. I mean, let's be clear here. David Rabin is the main lead attorney for Andrew Delkey, and he put together all the information and made the argument for a change of venue, which was denied. I don't know. I guess the prosecution said we can try it here, but yeah, I mean, I think the defense would like a change of venue, did at least request it. So, and it was denied by the judge. The judge, again, I think believes this is a local case that needs to be tried by a jury of the peers here locally. Is that the way you understand it, Nick?
That's exactly right. And I just want to echo Ann's sentiments. I'm glad she said something about the COB, because there are qualified people on there. I know that we have former police officers like Walter Holloway, who's a former retired Metropolitan Police policeman, African-American. I believe Tori Johnson is on that board. We have quite a few people that are highly educated from different backgrounds, both law enforcement and non-law enforcement. And there's a requirement, and that's to have some people from law enforcement on there. And so it is a varied group of people. And as it pertains to the Delkey case, I do believe that they would like to move it to another environment, either go and try the case in a different locale, or go select jurors from a like, locality and bring them here to Davidson County. But what you have to be careful with in this environment is the environment that we have in America now. And so you might go to a Chattanooga, which is a similar locale, to pick some potential jurors in that case, and then maybe at the time you do that, they're having even more strains between the police, or maybe there was recently, or several shootings. I mean, right now, if you were in Kentucky, I mean, because of the Breonna Taylor case, the state would certainly not want to go to Louisville to pick, jurors in that situation. And so I think you've got to be careful given the environment that we're in America.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. And you're right. You just real quick, your thought, and I think you're correct. There was a date set, I think, for early next year, maybe February, early spring anyway. I mean, the way things have gone, and we talked about it at the top of the show, Nick, with, everything kind of put locked down for 90 days. We should say Delkey is free on bond. It's not like he's sitting behind bars waiting for his turn in court. So he is free. You would think that they would postpone that trial longer than others where individuals are locked up. So if you were guessing, would you think it's going to be moved again later into next year?
Nick, be honest with you, I would see it going in 2022, because it's important to remember that we have a constitutional crisis that's unprecedented in America now. We've never seen anything like this. And that is, we have people sitting in jail who cannot afford to make bond, that are presumed innocent, all of them, charged with a crime, a serious crime, and they thought their trial was going to happen They thought the trial was going to happen back in March, and then they're still sitting there today, and there have not been any trials in this county since March, going on a year. So the people that are on bond, even if it's a very serious offense like first-degree murder, they're going to come after people that maybe have an aggravated assault that have been sitting in jail or something to that effect. So because he is on bond, because of the need for all of these people that we're going to need, maybe 300 people as prospective jurors, I think we have to get the vaccine out. I think we have to start, moving that forward. So I would think because of the backlog in the system, it may be early 2022. That's a serious possibility.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you, and you make a good point. I mean, what you're talking about, these folks that are being held without bond or couldn't make bond, keep in mind, they're all charged, but innocent until proven guilty. There may be some folks that have been sitting there behind bars that didn't commit the crime they're charged with, and we don't know, they haven't had their day in court yet. And they're just sitting there because of this pandemic and can't get out. They can't post bond. And so I see what you're saying. It's a constitutional crisis. They have rights, but of course things like this go on the back burner because of the pandemic.
Well, and so there's been a lot of discussion among the judges as, we had to have jury deliberation rooms. And these are small rooms, and they're fine when people aren't, sick. But, when there's a chance that, you could be sick or you could be around somebody for an extended period of time. There's been a lot of discussion about, maybe we do the trials in court, and maybe the jurors will deliberate in the courtroom with the doors locked and the windows covered. And that way they can socially distance in that kind of a deliberation setting. So they're looking at all different avenues and angles. But the other thing is, let's say you're in this Delkey trial, you get going, and 3 or 4 days into it, somebody doesn't get coronavirus, but they've been exposed to someone who does, and now they need to quarantine. Then you've got a mistrial. Okay, so it's a highly complicated thing given the status of the pandemic here in the United States.
Yeah, well, I would venture to guess that, the jury is going to be sequestered for sure in that case. But I also, do you say there are constitutional issues that preclude the ability to have a jury on a televised feed? Imagine if jurors were each in an individual room with a TV camera in front of them and where they could monitor in the courtroom. Are there, constitutional issues that require the jurors to be face to face with the accused and be able to see each other, and they have to be in person? So there's just not really an option for doing it all electronically?
There's not an option for that. The Supreme Court's been clear during this pandemic, our Tennessee Supreme Court, that you cannot satisfy the right to confrontation by Zoom. And furthermore, we don't know who's in the room with these potential jurors. We don't know what they're doing, what they're listening to. But again, this underscores the fact that our General Assembly needs to act. Every one of these jurors in trials, they have smartphones. Okay, our laws that we have now were before we even had cell phones. Okay, and you can tell a juror, no, don't look this up on the internet. But you and I both know when they leave and they go home, they want to know about objections and rulings on evidence and certain things. And so, I think that we need to do something to ensure that if these jurors are during this period of time, that they're not using their smartphones and that they're not accessing the internet. I don't necessarily know how we go about doing that, but we have a problem now that every single person in America has a smartphone.
Right.
And why wouldn't you look this stuff up? It's just
the judge tells you not to. You're supposed to follow the rules, but I know what you're saying. Let's take a real quick question before we go to the break, real fast from Vicky. Vicky, good morning. Hi, Vicky.
Good morning. We're supposed to go to trial February the 15th.
Okay, that's what I thought. You're Vicky Hambrick, Daniel Hambrick's mother. So have they told you, do they expect it to still go on the 15th?
Yes.
Okay, now you realize they could change, but when's the last time you heard from the prosecution to say, yes, we're still set for the 15th?
Last week.
Okay, so they said.
And I want to thank Ann for that comment, what she said, because don't nobody know what go on in the courtroom and what I seen and my family seen and the judge seen.
Right. That's right.
So it's a lot out there a lot of people don't know about.
So you think there's going to be a lot of stuff that comes up during trial that we haven't seen that might dictate the verdict, right?
Right.
Interesting. Hey, listen, I appreciate it. And she's speaking with personal experience, Nick. That's Vicky Hambrick, Daniel Hambrick, who was shot and killed, mother. And she, I guess, has been privy to. But she's saying she heard from the DA's office as recently as the last week or so that, at least as they sit now, they expect it to still go February 15th.
Well, and that's true. I mean, it's still set. And, my heart goes out to Ms. Hambrick, too. There's no doubt the horrible tragedy that her family's had to go through. But right now it's still set, but it doesn't mean that it's going to go forward. Sure. Think about the issue of picking potential jurors when they have a mask on. If you have a mask on and it's covering your face, how can I tell, if you're paying attention, I mean, all of your expressions, all of your body language really do come from the nose down in a lot of cases. And you don't want the criminally accused sitting across from the jury, wearing a mask, charged with robbery. So, that's another real serious issue that we don't have an answer for yet. And there's a lot of people that don't want to take the vaccine. We don't know if it's going to be mandatory or not. So yes, it's set. But I can't imagine that it goes forward, or this is our first jury trial that's going to go forward in Davidson County, because there are still questions out there that we don't have answers to.
On that note, let's take a break, and we'll continue to follow that closely. As you know, Vicki, we will. I appreciate your call, ma'am. We'll take a break and be back with some other cases to talk about, and more phone calls as well with legal analyst Nick Leonardo right after this.